One day I'm sitting in my office and I'm thinking, what can we do here that would add value to the business? And for some reason, just out of thin air, marijuana came into my head. And I thought, I wonder if I could grow marijuana.
Everybody has their own grow style. My grow style works for me, so I use it. It takes a knowledge, it takes a passion. If you don't have that, you have nothing.
Like, not since the repeal of Prohibition in the 1930s has there been such an incredible opportunity for industry within Canada.
As a teenager, if I thought then that I'd be mayor of the town, that the whole town would be pushing for a big cannabis production facility, I would think that would be an outlandish statement to make, but it's actually what has come to fruition, so.
Hello, I'm Tom Murphy. Welcome to Land and Sea. With some of the more traditional industries here on the East Coast slowly disappearing, many maritime entrepreneurs are looking for creative ways to kickstart the economy, and so some are turning to cannabis. With legalization on the horizon, many believe marijuana might just be what this region needs to grow. Edwin Jewell is a fifth-generation islander who has owned and operated Jewell's Country Market in Charlottetown for coming on 20 years. Edwin's parents also ran a greenhouse, so he grew up around plants. When looking for a solution to deal with the seasonal nature of his business, Edwin got creative.
I did a search on the internet, and I got quite excited because I noticed that, holy smokes, they're going to license people to grow cannabis for medical reasons. And I thought, I would like to have one of those licenses. You know, people call it a weed, or call it weed, and it grows like a weed. Like when I grew cannabis for the first few times, I think, holy smoke, this stuff grows like crazy. The varieties that we grow are picked from traditional, for lack of a better word, street names. So we'll have varieties like AK-47, White Widow, CBD Shark Shock, Wappa, but I get all kinds of wisecracks. I was coming up the steps one day with a pot, and somebody said, oh, you brought some pot with you, you know, and do you need somebody for quality control testing? We get that all the time.
Marijuana, derived from the hemp plant. It inhibits and distorts the action of the brain and nervous system.
When Edwin told the trusted members of his business group about his plan to start growing pot, they were concerned the stigma might cause him to lose customers at Jewell's Country Market.
And so I thought, well, jeepers, it's 7 against 1, they must be right. But I don't think we've lost clients at Jewell's Country Market because I'm involved in medicinal marijuana. It is for medicine, it's not, you know, it's for no other reason right now.
Edwin's no stranger to hard work, but he had no idea the application process to get a license to grow medical cannabis would take him almost 4 years.
I don't like to fool around. Just get at it and get the job done.
Health Canada's application process is notoriously rigorous, requiring extensive background checks and costly security infrastructure requirements. Each step in the process of building Canada's Island Garden, a 24,000 square foot facility on the edge of Charlottetown, came with a challenge.
There's lots of information on how to grow cannabis in a room 10 by 10 or in your closet. You couldn't go to the library, pull out a book, and find one that says this is how you design a commercial building for growing cannabis.
Edwin customized every aspect of this small family-run business, even developing island-themed strains such as Cavendish Dunes and Charlottetown Sunrise.
For us to be the first licensed producer in PEI, the third one east of Ottawa, it's pretty darn cool.
In 2014, Dennis Arsenault heard about the federal government's call for companies to grow medical cannabis. He saw it as a way to help boost the economy in his hometown.
I was retired at the time. I wasn't even living in Moncton. I was living in Montreal, and I just saw it as an opportunity that a person couldn't pass up on. There's not a lot of good paying jobs in Moncton, and the economy's it's a difficult economy, so it felt good to come back and to get involved in the industry and create something.
Organigram was the first licensed producer of medical cannabis in the Maritimes, now one of 74 in the country.
A lot of those licensed producers are creating a very similar product. For us, we initially identified organic as being our calling card. People see it as a higher quality product and a cleaner product.
We are allowed to produce 2 products, flowers and cannabis oil. The most valuable part of the entire plant is, people say the flower, but it's what's on the flower, the trichomes. That's where your cannabinoids are, and that's where the extraction comes from. That's where everything comes from. We grow medicine, so we have to have high standards. Doesn't matter if you're growing tomatoes, flowers, marijuana, there is a science behind every crop.
As of right now in Canada, there's no legal way to purchase marijuana over the counter. 100% of our business within sort of the medical marijuana space is done through direct mail at this time. A patient goes to their physician, gets a prescription for medical marijuana. That patient submits an order, and then it's sent discreetly and securely through Canada Post to their home address.
Trying to navigate this country's complex medical cannabis system is no easy task, and Organigram's call center is swamped with calls from patients looking for help.
Organigram, this is Josh. How can I help you today? My name's Josh Beal. I work client service here at Organigram. I'll start with your unique ID, please. We assist through the whole process of picking which medicine would work best for them. And again, that's why we like to make these calls, Eden. Just to address any questions. We range from headaches, migraines, stress, anxieties. We have a lot of veterans who are clients of ours, so we have a lot of PTSD, a lot of clients who want to get off these harder medications, the Dilaudid, the Oxycontins.
Welcome to Organigram. My name's Nicole. How can I help you?
A phrase I hear a lot is, I'm sick of my medicine making me sick.
Yes, I'll definitely check out your account here for you.
I had a lady, here's an example, fibromyalgia. She was on some of the opioid medication and just in bed all the time. I made a recommendation of a CBD strain with a sativa to go with it, and she called me back within 2 weeks later to tell me she's never been so happy to vacuum. She was up cleaning her home, and to her that was a big victory.
In such a new industry, there's no tried and true way to do things. When exploring facility design options, Organigram came up with an innovative model that enabled them to grow on 3 levels.
It may seem simple, put shelves in a room and put a plant on a shelf, but every corner of that room has to have the exact same microclimate, because that plant will not grow equally. And if it doesn't grow equally, then you're not going to get any yield out of maybe plants that are in a corner. It's a great way to maximize the space, lower your costs, and eventually, costs are what's going to matter. Who can produce a high quality product at the least amount of money possible? As an organization in Moncton, New Brunswick, we want to own the Maritimes.
Coming up on Land and Sea, big plants for a small Nova Scotia town. In Nova Scotia, another entrepreneur has dreams of carving out a piece of the maritime cannabis market.
So there's an ability to work with companies in California and not have that being a problem.
After 3 years of hard work, the Truro Herbal Company is about to break ground on a new 16,500 square foot facility. President Evan Price was pleasantly surprised at the reception his company received from the community.
Truro is one of the more historically conservative parts of Nova Scotia, and so we had certainly geared up for a good, healthy conversation within the community, and that just never happened. There's so many family members here that have relatives or friends that have illnesses, chronic or acute, that would be treated by cannabis.
Becoming a licensed producer requires more than big dreams. It also requires big money and a whole lot of stamina.
Really? We got about 15 of us together, raised about $1 million, and then started to putting together this massive application that is up over 2,000 pages. And it's everything from operating procedures to security practices to vault diagrams. They want to know everything ahead of time.
In every grow-op, the most important job is that of the lead grower. Evan's goal was to find the absolute best candidate for the job. That led him to Darcy Pittman.
I like my perennial bulb plants, your lilies, your tulips, the ones that smell pretty, right? And then I love my cannabis, right? If it wasn't for cannabis, I can look you in the eyes and tell you I wouldn't be here. In January 2001, a tree accidentally fell on my back and broke my T8-T9 vertebrae. I was eating 55 pills a day, mostly opioids, shove them in like candy. Eat a handful of pills, go to sleep. Wake up at dinner time, eat a handful of pills, go to sleep. Made me feel like I was dying. So one morning I woke up, threw them all away. rolled myself up a joint about as big as my thumb. I bet you it weighed about 5 grams. And I sat there and I smoked the whole thing. And let me tell you, I was stoned, but I never had a pain in my body, and I never had a care in the world.
He's been a pain patient for 18 years and grower for just as long. And he's a specialist, an absolute specialist. So we met about 3 years ago, and the next step was to sit him down with about 11 PhDs from the agricultural campus at Dalhousie. And at the end of it, he was all instructing them on what best practices were. At that point, there was no more reservation in my mind that I could confidently entrust him with running the entire facility.
I said to him, you know what? I'll come on board with you under 2 circumstances. 1, you guys cover all my medicine. I never have to pay for my medicine. I said, and 2, you guys take patient's input first. Without the patient, you have no company.
Stellarton has been chasing the cannabis dream since 2014 with hopes of revitalizing its economy.
This is the Heights, we call it, the Heights of Stellarton. And I lived here basically my whole life. Stellarton is 4,208 people. Like most of rural Nova Scotia, is economically depressed. And we're hoping a new industry like this might help provide the jobs that we need here. My sister lives in the same row as my parents, and I live on the next road over. We're still all here. As a teenager, I thought then that I'd be mayor of the town, that the whole town be pushing for a big cannabis production facility in the town. I would think that would be an outlandish statement to make, but it's actually what has come to fruition, so. The guy that mows my lawn. Hey, Hudson. So this is where the strip mine is expanding to. We have a coal strip mine in Stellarton. It's been here for about 20 years. The residents were fiercely opposed to it coming here in the first place. This is the price we're willing to pay for jobs in our region. We're hoping to transition away from those type of high-risk or environmentally dirty jobs to something more sustainable and something more beneficial to the population. This is the potential cannabis production facility here. This facility was built in the 1960s for Claritone TVs.
This project has been riddled with delays. The application now sits with a company called Cannabis, which is rumored to be in the late stages of finally securing a license.
They're hoping that they can produce enough cannabis to supply half of Nova Scotia's medical needs. What I hear, there'd be 100 to 200 jobs, and that'd be a big benefit to our town.
Most people want to join such an exciting industry and to be there and be able to say in 20 years from now, I was at the forefront of a brand new industry, which is going to sweep the world. The stock exactly a year ago today was 85 cents. And yesterday during the presentation, it was $3.40. We just recently raised another $40 million. So I think we sit with $60 million in the bank, probably in $150 to $200 million a year in sales. So it's moved very quickly.
At the center of this booming business is a simple plant, but growing that plant takes considerable skill.
So we're heading towards the area in the building where the whole growing process starts. We have our mother plants in here, we take our cuttings from the mother plants, and they're started in here.
One thing to keep in mind with marijuana is there are 2 very important cycles, vegetative cycle and the flowering cycle.
So after the cuttings have rooted for about 2 weeks, they're moved into the vegetative room.
So if you keep the lights on for 18 hours a day, the plant will keep growing and growing and never produce a flower. Once you flip the lights, we call it flipping the lights to 12 hours on, 12 hours off, that naturally triggers the flowering cycle.
So this room will be harvested in about 3 weeks and then moved into the drying room.
Each strain has a specific amount of days it needs to mature to reach its full potency. Then we start harvesting. The more flowers, the better, because we sell flowers.
You've heard the expression that it's about as exciting as watching paint dry. Well, watching cannabis dry is about the same. It's not exciting, but it's part of the process. It takes anywhere from 5 to 14 days. The buds are then put through our automated trimming process. We have a long cylindrical drum. The cannabis is put in from one end, and trimmed cannabis comes out the other end. Every lot that we sell to the public has to be tested, and it's tested for pesticides, heavy metals, mold. We get our test results back and they're good, then we know that we're on the right track. It's all used for medicine. So if you're someone who's quite ill and you bought cannabis from somebody and you don't know what was used on it, then maybe there's things in that cannabis that are not helpful to you.
Anyone can start up a cannabis company and grow plants, but not anyone can supply patients with quality medicine. It takes a knowledge, it takes a passion. If you don't have that, you have nothing.
When Land and Sea returns, accelerated growth comes with serious consequences.
Imagine the medicine you've been consuming for months, medical marijuana labeled organic, actually wasn't organic.
And worse than that, some patients have learned their New Brunswick-produced cannabis tested positive for pesticides that are unapproved and, if heated, could emit hydrogen cyanide. Marijuana produced by Organigram, a licensed organic producer in New Brunswick, has been pulled because of pesticides.
When your plants start growing buds, there should be nothing sprayed on them buds. If you end up with a bug outbreak, kill that plant and start over again. Yes, it sucks, but at least you know you're not going to poison yourself or poison others. That's the thing, is it's the safety. Safety, safety, safety.
The recall proved that Health Canada's policy to let growers police themselves wasn't adequate. Organigram never identified the source of the illegal pesticides. They hired a new CEO to step up quality control and regain customers' trust.
The most important thing is the steps we've put in place to ensure that never happens again. So that starts with testing of live plants and periodic testing of plants through the process, and all finished product before we're able to put it on the marketplace. We need to do pesticide screening on it to ensure that it is free of pesticides, and we have to submit that to Health Canada for their review and approval. Actually, as of a few weeks ago, every company is now having to do screening for pesticides.
The whole thing is about building the trust in users' eyes. We want to make sure that the products we provide are safe, pesticide-free, and grown the way they should be grown. There's a whole list of things that have to be followed to make sure your crop is good, and we certainly do our best to make sure it's done that way, and know that if we were to drop the ball, that it's not only not good for us, but it's not good for others in the industry either.
The government's plan to legalize recreational cannabis will require licensed producers to ramp up production to meet the needs of millions of additional customers.
We have a pretty aggressive plan in place for the growth over the next 3 years. For us to go to the next level would require an investment of probably $22 to $23 million. That would give us about 6 times the production capabilities. In our new expansion, we'll be growing in a greenhouse. That's our goal. The sun will be providing the lighting, so it'll cut down on our costs, because at some point in time, there's going to be lots of cannabis in Canada, and the successful companies will be able to produce cannabis at a cost per gram that's competitive.
One way Organigram is preparing for the recreational market is by teaming up with some maritime celebrities.
So in December of 2016, we announced a partnership with the Trailer Park Boys. So what that means is Organigram will produce the cannabis. We will work with them on developing a line of strains and a line of products to create a recreational brand of cannabis within Canada.
Organigram just completed a $60 million expansion, more than tripling capacity.
We are now at over 90 employees. And in addition, we have anywhere between 60 and 80 people per day here working on that build out.
This kind of accelerated growth is not without growing pains.
As a result of our recall, we actually lost our organic certification. We are working closely right now with our previous certifier, EcoCert, towards recertification.
Okay, sure.
Canadians can be confident that the product that is being grown, produced, processed, and sold here is now undergoing the highest level of testing and scrutiny of any medical program in the world.
Edwin Jewell's had some serious growing pains himself recently. His cannabis business is expanding so quickly that he's found it impossible to keep up with the demands at his garden center.
It's hard to be 2 places at once. So we've had the garden center for sale now for a little while, and I'm sure the right person will come along.
The Truro Herbal Company's dream of producing high-quality medicine is finally coming true. Their application has been fast-tracked, and construction is about to begin.
It's 3.5 years to get to this day.
Hey, all good things take time.
Yeah.
When this $6 to $8 million facility is built, I have full confidence that I can blow the top off that place. I can supply some of the best medicine in this country, and I can't wait till it happens.
Like Darcy, many maritime entrepreneurs are excited by the prospects that lie ahead.
Sometimes it blows me away when I stop and I think about what kind of opportunities in front of us. Like, not since the repeal of Prohibition in the 1930s has there been such an incredible opportunity for industry within Canada.
For Edwin Jewell, it was a perfect fit.
It's really that background in horticulture that started literally from the day I was born to where I am today that's provided me with this keen interest in plants, and that certainly has carried over to cannabis, and I'm equally, if not more, interested in cannabis than I have been in any plant I've grown so far. We've had different opportunities as our company has grown over the last little while to be bought out by other larger LPs. We've chosen not to do that. For us, it's a family business. It's not often that a new industry is presented to a country, and to be part of it at this stage is really, really invigorating. And to have your family around and work with you every day, that's pretty darn cool too.